All right, so let's talk about some narcissists' favorite texts. So I'm going to go through different phases of the relationship and go through just a few. I almost feel like could be part one of like 10 different videos, honestly, because there are so many. So, like during the love bombing phase, this is where you're going to see them like come on like super strong. So, this is where they're going to like flood you. I have like a whole video on like the things that they actually say in person as well, such as like narcissist favorite catchphrases. And that's kind of more like things that they'll say like when they're kind of like devaluing you, like because they have like the three phases like love bomb, devalue, and discard. And you can definitely check out that video as well. So I'm going to kind of go through kind of the love bomb, devalue, discard. And then after the discard, they kind of come back through and sort of hoover you a little bit as well. But during it kind of starts with love bombing and kind of ends with discard. But then they kind of go back and forth between love bomb, devalue, then back to love bombing, devaluing, discard. Kind of hoovering is almost really a kind of like a love bombing in a way. It's all like a toxic stew. It's not linear. They don't go love bomb, devalue, discard. They kind of go back and forth between the phases, which is part of what causes the trauma brain and destabilizes you. It's really, really important to understand that because that's why it's very, very difficult to negotiate with them a lot of times because your brain is like so scrambled sometimes. So, in the beginning, when they're first starting to want to gain control over you, they want to come on super strong. So, they just are very, very charismatic and they just flood you all the time. So you're going to get these text messages that'll be like, "You're beautiful, you're gorgeous, you're amazing, you're so smart," and it's not just male to female, it's female to male as well. "You're perfect for me." I mean, I dealt with it in a business situation. So, the emails that I would get too were, "This is the most incredible partnership. I can bring you the best clients. I know all the right people. I can make the right introductions." To flood you at the beginning with all the right things to say. So, you'll see things like, "I can't stop thinking about you," or "I miss you already," when they just left like 2 minutes ago. Flood you, flood you, flood you. You can't believe this person even existed. They're right there in your space all the time. "I can't live without you. You're my Prince Charming. You're my Princess Charming. You're my soulmate. This is the most amazing thing. I've never met anybody like you before." These are the kinds of text messages that you will get during the love bombing phase, right? So, if any of you guys have seen this before, I want you to give me an amen in the comments right now. Totally, right? Okay. So now you move into devaluation. You're like, "Okay, I'm in. This sounds amazing. We're in. I'm totally embracing this person. This is fantastic." So now you move into devaluation. So the next phase is either ghosting, which means you get no text messages whatsoever at all. You're texting this person, texting this person, texting this person. You get zero, complete radio silence, nothing, nada. So hours go by, you get nothing. And then when you finally get something back, it might be, "You're so needy. Why are you stalking me? How come you're texting me so much? I was working. Why are you questioning me?" All of a sudden, you're the crazy one for expecting them to be how they have been. So now you're like very, very confused, right? Because they were the one that set this up, set up these parameters of, I can't stop thinking about you. I miss you. You're my soulmate. I miss you already," when they just left 2 minutes ago. And all of a sudden, you're the crazy one because they didn't text you for hours and hours on end. So that's the devaluation phase. All of a sudden, you're overly jealous because why are they talking to this coworker in this crazy, way at 2 a.m. in the morning in a suggestive way? That's the kind of thing that you're going to be seeing in the devaluation phase. Starting to gaslight you, starting to project and deflect, starting to think that you're crazy. The shift is going to start to happen. The ghosting, that's what is going to start to happen in the devaluation phase. The passive aggression. Oh, sure, I will definitely text you back within the next hour. And then an hour goes by, you don't hear from them. That's passive aggression. How come I didn't hear from you? Oh, I was working. Why do you have to be nagging me? That sort of thing. So there's your devaluation phase. All right, now during discard, so you're in the discard phase. So it's stop texting me. I'm going to block you. Why are you still after me? Congratulations, you got what you want. Why are you talking to this person? I'm going to bring you down. I'm going to make sure that no one ever believes you. I'm going to make sure that everyone sees you for who you are. I will do everything in my power to make sure that you don't ever get what you want. Now you're going to start to see like this person that you never would have believed, or you're going to see them just doing things that you would never have believed that they would do. You call them out on it and they'll say, oh, I didn't do that, or we had an agreement that we could do that, something like that. And you're going to be like, well, we never had an agreement to that, and your head is going to be completely spinning during this discard phase of who in the heck is this person? You would never have believed that this person during the discard phase is the same person that you thought you knew during the love bombing phase at all. Okay. Then you get into the hoovering, text messages. You won't have heard from this person in 6 months. And after all the things that have happened, all the things that they've done, all the horrible things that went down, and you finally have moved on with your life and don't even think about the person anymore. And in your DMs, or in your text, suddenly you get a little, hey, how's it going? Or just a hey. And you're like, what is this? Or, hey, how are you? Something like that. And you think, what are you doing? Or it might be, hey, I heard our song. Just something super random. And it's just a little like, boom, is there supply to be had? Something like it really is what is going on there. They want to know if there's some supply that do I still have power over you? Is there some way that I can still get you to come back to, can I still reel you in some way? So those are the kinds of text messages that you will be getting from narcissists. And I really feel like it's like a very thin slice. Honestly, I honestly feel like I could do parts 2 through 10 here. So let's talk about whether or not you're texting with a narcissist on the other side. So the first little cue that you're going to get is that love bombing. So remember, relationships with narcissists usually always start off with something that looks like what we call love bombing, which is that they come on super strong as the most amazing person. And it's almost like a little bit overwhelming. If you want to know more about love bombing, I would definitely check out my video just on love bombing. But basically, it's just that they come on super strong. Like, they're just in your face all the time. You almost can't even breathe because they don't want to give you a chance to think or anything like that. So right away, they're making plans. They're telling you how amazing you are, that you're perfect, that they can be perfect for for you. So, you know, if it's in a business setting, they can bring you the best clients, the most money, they have all the right contacts, they have the best skills, whatever it is you're looking for. They've done it before, they've done it super successfully. They can introduce you to all the right people, whatever it is, they're very good at honing in on whatever it is that they see that you want or need or would be good for you. And so they'll do the same thing in text messages. So suddenly you're being love bombed. You're just like, you're so beautiful. You're so amazing. You're so successful. I can't believe I met someone like you. How lucky is it? We are perfect for each other. This whole thing is meant to be. And maybe people will say things like that and they're not narcissists, obviously, but this is just one sort of little indication. If it feels like, oh my gosh, it's a little much, they're coming on really, really strongly, then maybe it's a possibility that you're being love bombed by a narcissist, unfortunately. So number two is they talk a lot about themselves. So, you know, every single time you're in a text conversation with this person, they're telling you that what's going on in their work, what in their day, what's happening with them. They can't believe that this happened. This crisis is going on, and all about them, all about them, all about them. And they never really ask about you. Or it might just be sort of like an afterthought. Oh yeah, well, and how are you doing? Okay. And then they never even respond to that. Like you tell them and then they don't respond to that. So if there's a lot of talk about themselves and a lot of talk about their own issues, and you just find yourself texting back, spending quite a lot of time just going on and on about helping them. And of course, you know, if you're getting into the relationship with this narcissist, are probably an empath. You're probably a person who feels very deeply for people, who wants to help people, who feels like you can save people or you care so much. Then, you know, it's probably just really second nature for you to just go, how are you? And oh my gosh, and this is terrible. And you don't mind actually for a lot of it, helping this other person and pouring yourself into this other person. But then at some point you start to realize, well, wait a minute, they don't actually ever ask about me. How is that going on? I mean, and you think, well, am I being selfish? You know, but no, I mean, at some point, the other person should be, you know, how is your day going, or what's going on with you, or something in that text message conversation. So, so if there's a whole lot of stuff about themselves, then maybe that's an indication that you are texting with a narcissist. And by the way, if you want to know more about narcissistic favorite phrases, you should definitely check out my video on the narcissist's favorite phrases. So the next one is going to be like future faking, or saying things that, you know, we are going to go and do all of these things. The future is going to be amazing for us. We're going to create this amazing business. We are going to go do things together. If it's a romantic relationship or a friendship, they might plan a lot of different things with you in the text messages, and then they never really come to fruition. Like, what's going on with that? And or you know, the next one might be just that they're completely not responding to you at all. And sometimes that can be called ghosting or whatever, but just not responding to you at all can also be something that they can do, you know, where you respond back to them and then all of a sudden they're not responding to you. Now it's like days have gone by. And so you're like back and forth between this love bombing and this like devalue in the form of, you know, getting the silent treatment from them or no contact from them at all, or ghosting. So if you want to know more about the differences between silent treatment, no contact, and ghosting, check out my video on that. But you really it can be very confused sometimes because they're, you know, what we call future faking, meaning that they're planning all this stuff with you and then you respond back and now all of a sudden you're not hearing from them anymore. Maybe they go dark for a day or two or even longer. And then when you start to ask them, hey, how come you went dark on me? They get mad at you. And, how come you're all of a sudden you're all over me? You can't leave me alone. You're badgering me, something like that. And this is the person who was also love bombing you, is saying, you were so perfect for each other. And so it can be very, very confusing. And that's where you start to feel devalued, and your brain is like going back and forth between, happiness and joy and confusion and hurt and pain, constantly back and forth. And that's where you start to develop, trauma and toxic thinking, thinking, like your brain starts feeling very scrambled because of all of this back and forth. And if you are just shaking your head saying, oh my gosh, this is so wrong, just give me an SMH in the comments for shaking my head, SMH. And the fourth example of a text from a narcissist is a lot of bragging. So they do a lot of bragging about their accomplishments, all the things that they're doing, how everybody else is so stupid, how everybody else was inept at work and they were so smart, and how they came up with all this, some innovative thing, or that they, stopped something from happening, or saved tons of money for the company, or whatever it is that they have done. They're just in the text messages, just constantly bragging about their own accomplishments, and how everybody else is so inept or stupid or something like that. So that can be definitely an indication that you might be dealing with a narcissist. And the last one is that they send lots of pictures of themselves. So, you get tons of pictures of this narcissist, and it's not pictures of other people or things that are going around them, or even asking for pictures of you. They just believe that you must want tons and tons of pictures of them. And so that could definitely be an indication as well. So, all right. So in this day and age, narcissists are everywhere, right? I mean, we've got, our relationships, but most of the time they use a lot of text messages to blow up our phone. That's what they like to do. They like to blow up the phone, and they do it in a number of different ways, okay? It starts off with love bombing. So that's the first type of text message that you're going to see from a narcissist, because that's the way that they start off every type of relationship. Now, this is whether it's a business relationship or a personal relationship. I was in a business relationship with a narcissist. So the first kind of touch that you're going to see from this narcissist is this love bombing type of text message. And it's pretty eye-opening, as I said, because the thing that you're going to see, and this is a huge red flag, is that you're going to get bombarded with these love bombing types of text messages from this narcissist. It's going to be all day, every day. Oh my God, even if it's a business relationship, oh my God, I just had this idea. I just had this thought. I just, middle of the night. And same thing if it's a new romance. Oh, I just was thinking of you. I just had this thought. I just had this song, this lyric just came to me, all these different things, right? I just was watching this television show. I needed to share this with you. Let's watch a movie together, even if we can't be together, and we'll just comment on it together. I mean, you literally with this person basically 24/7 on the text. And it's like too good to be true. This person is constantly with you. And so it's amazing how you kind of get into this groove with this person, with this constant amount of texting during this love bombing stage, and you think that this is how it's always going to be with this person, and you're almost overwhelmed. You're almost like, oh my God, this person texts me really a bit too much. Especially if you're like, it's a romantic person and you're trying to work and they're constantly pinging you, and it's a little super strong, and you're overwhelmed, but you're like, okay, well, they're just so taken with me, and they're just telling you how amazing you are, how beautiful you are, how handsome you are, how sexy you are, or if it's a business relationship, they may be, name dropping left and right, or they may be giving you information that you want. They might be giving you, oh, wow, I have this lead. I have these contacts. I have these, clients that I'm going to be bringing in. I have, all of this stuff, this flurry of activity at the beginning. And it's just kind of overwhelming because remember, narcissists are highly skilled at reading people. So if the person on the other side of this text is a narcissist, they're mirroring you. And so they're becoming whatever it is that you need to see, that you want, and you are believing that it's true. All right. So that's the love bombing text. That's number one. The next stage is you're moving into the devalue stage. And here we go. Self-centered messages are coming every time you move right into this stage. It's not a good thing. Here we go. Now you're getting into long essays, long paragraphs about themselves and what's going on in their lives. And they may even say, hey, how you doing? But it's not about how are you doing, because they don't really care how you're doing. It's how are you doing, because I want to tell you all about me. I had a horrible day. How was your day? Well, mine was terrible. That's great. You had a good day, because mine was awful. They don't even want to know about really how yours was. I just want to tell you about how mine was. If you do try to say anything about you had a bad day, well, mine was worse. Well, I had this or I had that. And, it's going to be all into, and, don't you care about me? Don't you care about how horrible things have been for me? And they're going to be looking to see how much empathy you're going to be pouring into them, how much caring you're going to be pouring into them, how much, you're going to be there for them, because they're going to be basically giving you this novel, this 30-page tome, all about them and how their life is so difficult and how their ex is crazy, or their boss is a psychopath, or their clients are this or that, or whatever. I mean, setting it up so that life isn't fair for them, or they're a victim in some way, or whatever. And they might even be sending you unsolicited pictures of themselves, or pictures of what it is that they want for their birthday, or selfies of cool things that they're doing. They want to send you pictures of themselves with celebrities, stuff like that. So, I mean, when you start to see that, I would definitely run, because that's like, yikes, so run away. And I want you to put that in the comments right now. Run if you see that. Run away if you start to see that at all. The next type of text that you're going to see after that, if you start to run away, is the future fake type of text. This is when they start to go, oh no, I don't want you to run away. you're going to see that all those things that I promised you during the love bomb phase, we're going to get back to that. Life is going to be amazing. And this is in a business situation too, because I got love bombed and future fate. You're going to see that the future is going to be incredible together. Look at the amazing family that we're going to make together, the vacations that we're going to take together, this incredible business that we're going to build together, the relationship that we're going to have together. Remember that we're soulmates. Remember that we were meant to be together. Remember that no one else has that what we have, or look how exciting this project is that we're going to have together, or, the future endeavors that we can have. And by the way, you shouldn't even think about this in the past. Don't pay attention to that. Don't be weary. We've got this. We have this. Sweep it under the rug and let's just move forward and let's talk about the future. And why do you have to be negative? Let's just be positive. That sort of thing. That's what future faking is. All right. So that's the next type of text. And then the next one is ghosting. And this is where you're like, okay, let's get back to that love bomb rhythm that we started off with, where it's all the time and we can be together and we can talk to each other a lot. And then all of a sudden it's, I'm not hearing from you. I don't hear from you ever. Where are you? What are you doing? And then it's, you don't hear from the person. And now the person goes, why are you so needy? I have a life. Or they might not just even say that. They just don't respond at all. And, because they like to play this hot and cold game. And they like to do that because it gives them a sense of control. It gives them a sense of power. They enjoy manipulating you. They enjoy watching you squirm. They kind of think it's funny sometimes, so they just don't respond to messages at all sometimes. And, they enjoy that kind of power trip thing. And, if you start to see this hot and cold power game, it also messes with your neuronal patterns and it starts to get you sort of addicted, because that anticipation causes that dopamine to get released in your brain, and so it causes that trauma bond. So you have to be really, really careful about that, and it's really sick. So be careful about that hot and cold game and just get out of there. As I said, run, Forrest, run. The last type of text, especially if you are dealing with a grandiose narcissist, is that bragging type of text. This is similar to the self-centered messages, but they brag about themselves, and they're not asking about you, by the way. Hey, how you doing? But I just thought I'd let you know that I did this and I accomplished that, and this happened to me at work, and that sort of thing. And it gets old after a while. And after a while, you start to notice, hey, you know what? They never ask about me. I never get to talk about myself. And if I do, it's really just a foray to turn it around and talk about themselves. So, if you find that that's what's been going on, then you might want to reevaluate the relationship and reevaluate if this is something that's for you, because relationships should be a two-way street, and it should be something that feel like you matter in the relationship. And if you don't feel like that, then it's not something that I think is probably the best thing for you.
Fed up with narcissists walking all over you? Sick of everyone believing their lies while you're paying through the nose in attorney's fees? What if you could hold all the cards for a change? Hey, I'm Rebecca Zung. I'm a top 1% trial attorney, a USA Today bestselling author, and I've spent my entire career helping people slay narcissists in negotiations. Most recently, consistently through my proven slay method. What if your suffering could become your superpower? Imagine turning all that pain into power, not just for you, but for others too. This is your chance to take back control. You can finally win. Become a high conflict negotiation certified coach. Help others while transforming your own life and do good for the world. This is your chance. Go to RebeccaZung.com/apply, and I'll show you how to turn the tables for good starting today.
All right. So let's talk about the ways that narcissists devalue you in texting. Texting is one of the most ridiculous ways that they do it, because this becomes evidence for you down the road. This becomes leverage for you. It also becomes leverage that they can use against you too. Because remember, every text, every email, anything you put your hand to, whether it's a social media post or whatever, becomes a potential exhibit, whether it's a negotiation or becomes potential leverage back against you too. So you want to make sure that you're always keeping your emotions in check as much as you possibly can. They're constantly trying to look for ways to use things against you as well. So remember to be careful. If you want ways for phrases for disarming narcissists, I have a really, really powerful tool for you. It's a free tool. It's phrases for disarming narcissists, and you can get it at disarmthenarc.com. Just go to disarmthenarc.com and grab those phrases. Okay. So 10 ways the narcissists devalue you in text messages. Well, the first one is that they deliberately send you a baiting text message to bait you, and then they immediately ghost you. They know that you're going to be like on edge. They know that you're going to write back right away, but then they don't write back right away. So, here's the thing that'll happen. They'll accuse you of something that is completely false. They might send you some kind of SOS. I got test results, or I have to go in for a biopsy for something. I might have cancer. And all of a sudden you're writing back, nothing. They'll completely ghost you. So they're baiting you into something, and then they don't respond at all. If they're trying to, suck you back in to talking to them again, if they haven't spoken to you or you haven't spoken to them in a while, it's just sometimes called hoovering, like where they're sucking you back in like a vacuum. You're frantically trying to get a hold of them. You're so worried about them, and they want you to worry, and they want to see that you're still caring about them. They want to see that there's still something there. So that's the first one. Bait you and then ghost you. Number two is just deliberately ignore you completely. They don't bait you first, they just deliberately ignore you. A lot of times you will see this when you've gone through the love bombing phase, and now they're conditioning you. This is a conditioning where they want you to now want them, need them, become attached to them. It's all part of this sick sort of game that they play, where they love to play games with your emotions. They want to see that you are worried or attached, or how badly do you want to talk to them, that sort of thing. Like, they can't just be a normal person and respond, because they enjoy that process of manipulating you. Your emotions are a game to them. So that's number two. Number three is they'll deliberately start fighting words with you in a text message when they know it's a big day for you, but they'll make it your fault in some way. You didn't do this, you left in a huff this morning, and then you're over there trying to like assuage their ego and make nice with them, while you're also trying to be emotionally stable and whatever, dealing with your big day and whatever it is that you've got going on. And they're literally over there like, that's it, we're done. If it's a business situation, they do the same thing. They know it's your big day. They know it's something that's going to happen with you. And then they make sure that they sabotage that. for you in a text message. So that's number 3, deliberately starting a fight when they know it's a big day for you. Number 4 is deliberately trying to make you jealous or deliberately trying to triangulate with you. This is something that you often see with business partnerships or even, romantic relationships as well, where they try to make it seem like they have a better relationship with somebody. They're constantly trying to make you want them more. They think that by doing that you're going to want them more. And I know for me, it makes me feel like I want to repel them more. But for them, they think it makes them appear more like you're going to want them more or something. Somehow you're going to be jealous, that you're going to be so nervous to lose them or something. But that's what they do. They deliberately try to make you jealous through text messages. Oh, I just spoke to so-and-so, or I just got off the phone with so-and-so. They really are, love me. They're really into me, or they really like me. It's a subtle devalue. It's a subtle way of letting you know that you're lesser. You're lesser than them. It's just a put down. It's a subtle way of letting you know that you're not as good. Number 5 is they deliberately ignore your boundaries. You've set boundaries. You've let them know. This is especially in any kind of a business partnership, or maybe it's during the discard phase where you've kind of said, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore, or you need to respect who I am or what my boundaries are, or whatever it is. And they just say, you know what, whatever. I'm going to just do whatever I want, and I'm going to just speak to you however I want. I'm going to talk to you when I want. Let's say you've said, please don't contact me on weekends. And there they are texting you on weekends. So it's a total way of devaluing you in texts. And what can you do about it? What can you do about any of these things? You can literally subtly just continue to say, this is not okay. These are things that are, deal breakers for me. And you can start to say, you can't speak to me in text anymore. Email is one thing. First of all, I always say have one form of communication, and it should never be text, and it should never be in person. It should always be in email, because email is the least likely to be manipulated. It has a time and date stamp. It's so much better for using in trial exhibits if you end up needing that. Texts are not necessarily going to be good trial exhibits down the road. Sometimes there's an exception, but for the most part, you need the entire conversation. So just let them know we're done with this mode of communication. And I have a lot more, by the way, in my new book, Slay the Bully: How to Negotiate with a Narcissist and Win, which you can pre-order right now at slaythebully.com. And if you go there and pre-order it now, you can get the entire manuscript ahead of time, and you get tons and tons of bonuses for free as well. So I would go there, slaythebully.com, and pre-order it now. And the next one is they completely deliberately ignore your needs. You're trying to explain to them what you need from the relationship, what is hurting you, what your feelings are, what's going on with you. They don't care. They will continue to plow through. They will continue to hurt you. They will continue to deliberately ignore your needs. That is not even a subtle way of devaluing you in texting. That is just a flat out over way of devaluing you in texting. All of this leaves you with a form of what we call complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And complex post-traumatic stress disorder, by the way, is actually far worse and far more difficult to get over than regular post-traumatic stress disorder, because, and not to devalue PTSD at all, but PTSD is actually something that happens from one event, such as, war or a car accident or something like that. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder happens over time with a series of events. And, what can happen over time is that it takes its toll on the body. And so you can, it can be with leaky gut, or you can end up with issues such as high cortisol or kidney disease or diabetes or autoimmune issues, things like that. Your hair falls out. I mean, honestly, the impact on your health long term is so far reaching. That's why you have a hard time thinking straight. You have a hard time with, with brain fog, cognitive dissonance, which leads me honestly to number 7, which is, when they are deliberately hot and cold, which is something else they do in text messages. Hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. I love you. I hate you. I love you. I hate you. I love you. I hate you. That is what causes something called trauma bonding. And that trauma bonding is what causes it's so difficult to leave. It's so difficult to leave because something that happens in the brain, because you get that dopamine hit and it becomes actually a physical addiction in the brain. It becomes extremely, extremely addictive and difficult. So when somebody is just even and just normal, you don't have those swings, you don't have those highs and lows. And that's what causes such a physical impact on the body, which is why it's so important that you're getting education like this, that you're getting the help and support that you need with channels like mine and other free resources like this, which, by the way, if you don't have access to a support group, go to Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung on Facebook, which is a huge support group that I have, and get access there, start connecting with people. It's a huge, huge community that I have that is very, very active, and that will help you at least get started with some support. Okay. Number 8 is that they will send texts that were allegedly meant for somebody else, and this is something that you see again in the Hoover phase, like, oh, hey, got my test results or something. Oh, oops, sorry, wasn't meant for you. And, again, that little devaluing, that little letting like, not thinking of you anymore or whatever, just a way to devalue you, again, using that power of text messaging to give you a kind of a smack in the face, kick in the gut one more time, especially if you are no longer in relationship with this person, whether it's a work person, a business partnership, a romantic relationship, whoever it is, even if it's a family member, quite frankly, you can block this person. You do not have to be in relationship with anybody. I mean, seriously, if they're causing you toxicity, if they're causing you harm, you do not have to be in relationship with this person. Period. End of story. You just don't. Okay. I mean, you really have to do something that I call defend your light with your life. That's what you have to do. That is the only thing that you have to do. You have to take care of you. That's what you have to do. And that's the intention that you have to set for yourself. That is what you have to do. If you don't have access to help and support as far as therapy, I do have a sponsor on this channel, which is BetterHelp, and you can go to betterhelp.com/Rebecca Zung to access that. And we receive commissions. It doesn't cost you any extra, but we want you to have access to good resources that have been vetted. Okay. So that's the next one. The next one is deliberately be passive aggressive about things that they said that they were going to do, and then they just don't do them. So yes, I will definitely take care of that. Yes, I will definitely help you. Yes, I will definitely pick that up for you on the way home. I'm all in, and then they just forget about it. Such a huge way of devaluing you. And they have no plans on doing anything for you. They have no plans on helping you. Or, yeah, I can do that. I don't think it's too far out of my way. I was going to, come right home or whatever. I was going to, but yeah, it's not too bad out of my way. Like they're just sort of like passive aggressive about helping you with anything and just sort of subtly devaluing you. But then, oh yeah, I see, I said I was going to do it. There's always that plausible deniability with people who are passive aggressive. Like, I said I was doing it. Look, if you look at the text, I said I was doing it. I had every intention. What are you talking about? So it looks like they were doing it, but then they don't actually even end up doing it, or if they do, they can get the credit for doing it, even though you know that they did it like kicking and screaming and it didn't want to. And so there's like that little subtle devalue. And by the way, I know you guys have seen these things so far. And I'd love to know which ones you've seen. Tell me in the comments which ones you've seen, and give me an amen if you've seen any of these in the comments so far. Number 10, can you guess what it is? Number 10 is definitely gaslighting. Gaslighting is anything where they're like completely just questioning your reality. So you know what you've seen, you know what you've heard, you know what your reality is, and they'll just basically just say that's not what it is. So you're texting them and telling them that you saw them with another woman or another guy, and they'll be like, nope, that's not what you saw. And they'll literally flat out lie. I mean, they don't even sometimes like massage the facts. A lot of times they just flat out lie. Like, no, I wasn't there. Completely gaslight your reality. The good news is that that becomes your leverage. When that happens, especially if you have proof that they're flat out lying, that becomes your leverage, which is great news for you. Keep track of that. Make sure you are documenting that. Make sure you are using those things. That becomes something that you can use in negotiations. All right. And make sure that you are keeping check of your own emotions. As I said, don't allow them to bait you, because once you do, it's game over. They will definitely use that against you. Narcissist texting games. This is what they try to do to trip you up. I'm going to give you 4 things, but within those 4 things, I'm going to give you all kinds of background as well. So you're going to want to watch all the way till the end here. All right, ready? Number 1, they flood you, especially in the beginning. But this is not, they'll do this also when they think that you're kind of pulling back. They'll do this, whenever they need to. Narcissists will play these games with you to try to trip you up, to try to scheme you. They play this as part of the whole manipulation ship you're involved with here with them. So this is one of their little texting games. They flood you with texts telling you how much they adore you, how much they love you, even if it's a business relationship too, by the way, because I was in a business relationship with a narcissist. But then mysteriously, they have no time to actually speak to you on the phone. They don't have time to see you either. But that phone, it's like pasted to their side. It's pasted, it's glued to them at all times. But they text you all the time and constantly flood you, but they don't have time to see you and they don't have time to speak to you on the phone. They hate talking to you on the phone, but they text you constantly. It's a really weird thing with them. It's just like they want that distance. It's like an intimacy thing with them. They like the texting thing, and they kind of want to know that you're on the other end of that text, but they don't want to make time to actually speak to you or see you, especially when it's their time, during the day when they're working or when they believe that it should be their time. They really don't want to make time to see you or speak to you, but they will flood you with texts, but they don't want to make time to actually see you or speak to you. So it's like a game that they play. It's part of that withhold thing. It's like that withhold thing. It's that control thing. That's number 1. They flood you with texts to tell you how much they adore you or how much they miss you or whatever, but they don't actually want to make time to see you or speak to you or have you in their space unless they want you there, unless they say, it's that control thing. So that's number 1. Number 2 is that they will use apps, and believe me, I've seen this in my law practice. This is a crazy thing. They use apps to hide their guilty texts. Then they accuse you of being the cheater or being the one that they can't trust or being the one who has problems, they project all of that onto you, and you haven't done anything wrong there, but they're constantly accusing you of where did you go? Who were you with? What are you doing? But they're the ones that are hiding their guilty behavior within other apps or other things that they're doing. And believe me, there are all kinds of ways to hide information within the phone. You can text people and, have the text disappear. You can have the text disappear right away. And you can actually be texting from apps that you didn't even know you could text from, not just through direct messaging, through Instagram, through Facebook, or whatever. There are a lot of different apps out there that provide the service of instant messaging besides those. So they use different kinds of apps to hide their guilty text, then accuse you of being the one who is not trustworthy. And you're over there thinking, what are you, crazy? Like, I didn't do anything. But it's really just a projection and a deflection of their behavior, of their lack of being trustworthy. They know they can't be trusted, so they put it out onto you, right? So that's number 2. And it's all a mental game that they play to try to make you feel unstable, make you feel confused, and to mess with your brain. Okay. So that's number 2. Number 3 is they flood you with attacking texts. What are you doing? Where were you? You're crazy. You're this. You're that. You're the worst person in the world. Horrible, horrible things. Long text too, the type that you have to, hit see more, whatever. The worst possible venomous, horrible things. And you're over there like shaking because they make sure to send those things when you are walking into an important meeting, walking into a special event, you're at a family dinner. Sometimes it's at a family lunch with their own family or whatever it is, where they know exactly where you are, exactly what you're doing, but they want to trip you up. They want to upset you. They want to make sure that you're sabotaged in some way right at that moment. And then you respond, you take the time to say, what are you talking about? You know that this is the situation. You know that I just spoke to you, that this was what's going on. And you take the time to explain, to justify, to defend yourself, all the things that you should not be doing, by the way. Never explain, justify, or defend. Don't do those things because it just gives credence. It gives them supply. It gives them all the things that you should not be doing, by the way, because then when you do those things, what do? They refuse to respond. A game they play to try to trip you up. It's a game and it's not okay. And I want you to put that in the comments right now. Not okay. Messing with your emotions, with your psyche, it messes with your chakras, with your energy centers, with your autoimmune system, with your gut health, with your vagus nerve, with your brain. It causes you chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. Seriously, it is so not okay. You end up with irritable bowel syndrome, and they do. They choose those opportune moments to trip you up right then and there. The last thing they will do is they will send pictures of themselves in places or with people to throw you off their scent, to throw you off their trail when they're not with those people or actually in those places. So, they know that they're not actually there or whatever. And, they'll do this because, they're actually somewhere else or with other people, because again, they're not trustworthy. They're the liars, they're the manipulators, right? And closely related to this, by the way, this is not a texting game, but this is another little game they play is they leave their phone somewhere when they are somewhere else. If you have a phone tracker, if you know where they are, along the lines of the texting game, is they send the pictures, whatever, just throw you off where they actually are. Those are 4 texting games that they will play to trip you up, to manipulate you, to make you crazy, to destabilize you, to cause you trauma brain, to make your life miserable, gaslight you, all of the things that they do. And then, you go to try to negotiate with them, you go to try to communicate with them, and seriously, you become a shell of yourself. You start to not even recognize who you are. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Investing in your mental health can feel like a big decision, but your peace of mind is just as essential as your physical well-being. Life brings challenges, from the anxiety of stress to navigating high conflict relationships, and you really shouldn't have to face them alone. Traditional in-person therapy can cost anywhere from $100 to $250 per session, but with BetterHelp, you could save up to 50% per session on average. For a flat weekly fee, you get consistent quality care right from wherever you are. With over 30,000 licensed therapists and over 5 million people that have been helped worldwide, BetterHelp makes it easy to find support that fits your life, and you can switch therapists anytime. Therapy isn't just for moments of crisis, it's for building boundaries, learning tools, and becoming the most empowered version of yourself. Your well-being is so worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/negotiate to get 10% off your first month. Visit betterhelp.com/negotiate. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/negotiate. 5 signs you are texting with a narcissist. So number one is the love bomb. Of course, they start off with love bombing. That means that they just want to make sure that they are overflowing in the relationship. They are just so generous. You are so perfect, so amazing. Even in a non-romantic relationship, even in a business partnership, which is something that I had to deal with in a situation that I was in, they start off so perfect. I mean, they want to make sure that you just think that they are God's gift to you. So it's actually kind of overwhelming at the beginning, where they just are absolutely amazing. You just wonder, where has this person been all of my life? So they are intelligent and absolutely incredible. If it's business, all the amazing clients that they can bring to you. If it's romantic, they're telling you how beautiful you are, how handsome you are, how smart you are. You just think that you have found your soulmate. I mean, absolutely incredible. And they're just texting you all the time, and it's just absolutely overwhelming sometimes. So the love bomb in every possible way. So that's number one. Number two are the self-centered messages. So this is a red flag as well, because now you're starting to get messages from this person where they're just talking about a lot of what's going on in their life, but maybe not asking you so much about what's going on in yours. They're telling you all about maybe what's happening in their work situation and their family situation. Maybe it's a whole lot of fire alarms going on in their life, a lot of things happening. It's very engaging, a lot of things happening. They want a lot of input from you. Maybe they need you a lot. And maybe, you're an empathic person, so you want to help them and you feel like you're needed and you're engaged. And so a lot of that is going on as well. And so you are finding yourself suddenly drawn into their lives through this text conversation. Maybe they're even starting to send you unsolicited pictures of them and pictures of their family. A lot of that is happening also. And by the way, if you want to know more about how to respond to narcissists' texts, I do have a whole video on that as well, and you can definitely check that out. All right, so that's number 2. Number 3 is future faking. So one of the things that narcissists love to do is future fake. So you will start to get a lot of messages on what your life is going to look like. Narcissists love to talk about the future, what your life is going to look like in the future, and how incredible the future is going to be. If it's a romantic situation, they do want to move very, very quickly to the next phase. So it's going to be you're getting married quickly, you're moving in together very quickly. If it's a business relationship, you're going to be partners very quickly. They want to move to the next phase as quickly as possible. So the future fake is going to be happening very quickly. They want to elope, they want to get married, they want to get to the next business, sign that contract. Let's move, let's move, let's move. Hey, your soulmates, why wait, right? So next thing, next project, let's move. Future fake, it's all perfect. Let's do this. So that's number 3. Number 4 is ghosting. Now, all of the sudden, narcissists do like to do this hot and cold thing. So now all of a sudden, they're not responding to your text messages. Now all of a sudden, it's where did they go? And this is how they start to test their supply. They want to condition you. They're starting to see how are you going to respond if they don't respond right away. This hot and cold sort of thing is sort of a way to see if you are going to stick around. And now they're saying, oh, you're so clingy or whatever, and I was busy, and what are you going to do about it? And if you stick around and you let it go, well, then, now you're a good form of supply for them. They want you to swoon. They want you to go after them. They want you to need them. They want you to go, oh, where were you? It's pretty sickening. It's a way to start conditioning you. Okay. So, you don't need it. You need to say goodbye to them right at that moment. So I want you to put right now in the comments, say goodbye, say goodbye. Put that in the comments right now. Say goodbye. The last one, and this is, huge red flag. Number 5, huge red flag is the bragging. They'll start bragging about themselves. They'll start to go, oh, and I did this and I did that. And look how great I am. And similar to the self-centered messages, they're going to start to tell you how great they are. They're not going to be asking so many questions about you, but they're going to be starting to tell you how great they are. It's definitely a sign that there's a narcissist on the other end of that phone. At that point, you really want to start to reevaluate. And I know what happens is you start to, start attaching yourself to but there's all these other good things going on. And I have a friend who says, you start to turn those red flags pink, right? You start to look at things that you want to look at and not at the things that you necessarily should be looking at. So don't do that. Let's talk about those 5 kick-ass responses to those text messages, those comebacks, the ones you can, you're always trying to think of. So here's the thing. When you're dealing with narcissists, you can have a framework because they're trying to trigger you at all times. I mean, when you get those emails, those texts, you want to come back with, well, I'm saying, when they say, oh, you're a terrible mother or you're awful in business, and you want to defend yourself. That's the natural tendency as people. And they go back and forth between, their love bombing and those text messages, and they're trying to devalue and destabilize you. And it's just constant. And if you want to know more about the various stages of a narcissistic relationship, by the way, you can check out my videos on love bombing, devaluing, and discard. I have one for each. You can go check them out if you'd like. But really, the back and forth is actually way more toxic than someone who's just toxic all the time. And here's the thing, if you're no longer for a narcissist, then they're just going to assume that you're against them because they only think in terms of black and white. And if you're not for them, then you are public enemy number one. You're definitely against them. So within that framework of all of this toxicity and craziness, you've got to have a way to respond that's going to allow you to continue to maintain your power so that you don't get triggered and so that you continue to control the conversation and control the way that you respond so that you don't do something that you might regret. Because remember that every text, every email, everything you put your hand to, anything you write, whether it's a social media post or whatever, is a potential trial exhibit. So remember that. Always keep that in the back of your mind because they will try to trigger you. They will try to get you to put something in writing that they can screenshot or print out and use against you in whatever way they can. So be really, really careful about that. All right, so the key to doing this, the key to responding to them is to look at it as if you're completely disengaged, almost like you're a third party, like you are watching this thing and you're like, oh, they're, like watching a tennis match. Oh, they just hit the ball. Oh, that person missed it. Oh, there they hit it again. Almost like that. You're keeping all of your interactions like as brief and unemotional as possible, because that way you don't get triggered. I mean, you're going to want to defend yourself. You're going to want to say things that are going to be like, proving things, like you can prove them wrong or whatever. Don't bother. You're never going to do it. You're never going to prove them wrong. You're never going to have closure. And I have way more on this, by the way, on my video called I Was Dead Wrong. You should definitely check that out as well. Which is about my own thing of how I figured out what I was dead wrong about when it came to narcissists. But you want to just be careful about that. So here are some ideas for comebacks for you, all right? And these are also, by the way, because I am a lawyer, great trial exhibit as well, okay? So let's say you get a long email and it has all kinds of stuff in there about you're a deadbeat parent, you're worthless, you're this, you're that, and all of these long things. What I want you to say instead is this: I am in receipt of your message. I deny your allegations, and you can pick up Johnny at 3 p.m. on Wednesday. You select the one thing in the email that you have to respond to. You respond to that without emotion. You never explain, justify, or overshare. Remember that. Never explain, justify, or overshare. And you just respond to that. And everything else, you've said you've received it, you've denied it, and that's it. You don't need to go point by point. You're not going to get them to see your side. It's not going to happen. But you've done what you needed to do to preserve the exhibit for trial. Got it? Okay, so that's number one. Number two is thank you for sharing your thoughts. Have a wonderful day. So again, you've acknowledged, but you see how you're just keeping a distance between yourself and them. You're keeping your emotions out of it, all right? So I want you to write this down in the comments right now. Never explain or justify. Put that down in the comments because that way you will remember to start doing that, okay? So never explain or justify. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Number three is it sounds like you are very upset. Let's discuss further when you've had a chance to calm down. You see how you are observing them being upset. You are not upset. Now, they may say all kinds of stuff back, like you're this, you're that, whatever, and you're the one who's upset, and you're the one who's yelling. You can just say, I agree, we need to take a break. Looks like you're very upset. Happy to talk when you've had a chance to calm down. Or you can even say, well, we both had a chance to calm down, who cares? But you just observe their behavior. Observe their behavior to them. It's not you, it's them. You're looking at them having that behavior, all right? So that's number three. Number four is you are entitled to your perceptions, thoughts, and beliefs, just as I am. You're entitled to have that opinion. One of the things I love to say is I agree with you, but you can say it like you're not even really ending up agreeing with anything. You can say,
I agree that's your perception. I agree that that's what you think. You see, like they hear you say, I agree, but you haven't agreed with anything. You've just said you're entitled to your perceptions. You are entitled to your beliefs. You are entitled to your thoughts, just as I am. We both are. And it's just like it doesn't add fuel. It doesn't give them that narcissistic supply, which is what they're after. Okay. And the last one is no, thank you. I mean, you don't even have to say anything more than that, but thank you for whatever it is that you're saying or offering or doing. And you could just say, no, thank you. I'm not engaging with you. So all of these are ways that you can keep your emotions out of it. You stay not triggered. You are creating trial exhibits and potentially proof exhibits down the road that might help you and also help you preserve your sanity. Okay.
I'm going to give you 6 ways that narcissists text, and then I'm going to give you 5 ways to respond to them. All right. 6 ways that they text, and then 5 ways to respond. All right. So the first way that they text is like total bombardment, flooding your phone. They blow up your phone. They do this when they are love bombing you at the beginning, or when you try to block them, or when you try to ghost them, or when you're trying to put boundaries in place, or when you're busy, you're at work. They know for sure you're in a meeting. They know for sure that you're trying to do something. This is when they try to go insane on you and bombard you. I need attention, me. This is the one type of text that they do. Just flood you with everything. I need attention. I need it now. So that's number 1. The next kind is just absolutely intense love. Oh my God, I love you. I love you. I love you. You're amazing. You are the moon to my stars, the most incredible person that I've ever met, this lost soulmate, even if it's a business relationship. I can't believe that we haven't found each other before. This is going to be the most incredible thing ever. Absolutely intense. Like you really almost can't even breathe because it's just all the time, but intense proclamations all the time. And like it's blowing up your phone with these, but they're also telling everybody else in the world, and they're riding this high constantly. And they do this at the beginning of the relationship, but also when they're maybe trying to get you back, or when they are trying to future fake you because maybe they did something wrong and they're trying to get you to see how amazing the future is going to be and get you not to be thinking about what they might have done in the past. Let's just think about how amazing the future is going to be, and they're going to be the new version of themselves, and everything's going to be roses and rainbows and unicorns, and you will see. Okay. So that's the second type of text that you might see. The third type of text that you might see are sort of the vague, sort of hidden drama sort of ones that sometimes you will get sort of as a Hoover. Maybe you haven't seen them in a while, and something might pop up in your inbox or on your text saying, oh, got the test results from my cancer screening. Oh, oops. Was that to you? Oh, sorry, that wasn't meant for you. And then, of course, you're going to go, what? What's going on? Oh, nothing. Wasn't for you. I'm fine. They want you to be like, oh, what's going on? So that they can paint themselves sort of as this victim. I know you don't care about me. And sort of like this vague sort of nothing, because they want you to kind of go running after them, scampering after them, and maybe go ask all their friends what's going on with so and so or their family. and create all of that around them. The next kind of text that you will see is this boss controlling kind of a text. You do this, you do that, demanding, right to the point. Who do you think you are? You are this, you're that. This is the put down kind of text. You are disgusting. You're this, you're that. This is the I'm in vicious sort of mode, the guilt trip, the gross, vile, disgusting, right to the point, those kinds of texts. You'll see those kind of texts, especially if they're angry, they are in rage mode, they are in devalue mode, you guys are in the final phases of the relationship. That's the next kind of text that you will see. The no nonsense, straight to the point. You don't have to guess what it is that's going on with them at that point. Straight to the point, angry, rage, demanding, controlling, right to the point kinds of texts. And then the next kind that you will see are the crisis texts. They are in crisis, they are in drama, something's going on with them. This is not the vague ones of, I got my cancer screening one. This is my life is in crisis. I am in drama. You must come running. You must come now. You must pay attention to me. Something is going on. You must drop everything and come pay attention to me and be part of my crisis right now. Whatever you've got going on is definitely not as important as what I have going on right now. So, they're all, of course, pay attention to me, me. But those are the 6 main types of text that you will see from a narcissist. If you guys have seen any other kinds of text, let me know. And I would love to know what other kinds of texts you guys have seen from narcissists. But what can you do about it? What can you do about it? Number 1, create boundaries. Absolutely, you need to create boundaries. You need to say, this is not okay. Here are my limitations, and here's the way that you are allowed to communicate with me. I always say, one form of communication. And I definitely recommend it be some kind of email, or if you have children, maybe a court approved app or something like that, because you want it to be something where there's a time and date stamp and it can't be altered, because narcissists do that sort of thing, right? And I do have a whole video on 5 tactics to put a narcissist into place, and I highly recommend that you check out that video. The next thing that I recommend that you do is just take a beat, take a minute. You don't need to respond to every single text every single time. Maybe just pick and choose. Do I want to respond to this one? Do I want to respond to that one? Decide. Maybe I will respond to this one. Maybe I don't need to respond to that one. All right. That's number 2. Number 3, definitely do not get into long conversations over text. Remember, every text and every email is a potential trial exhibit. So do not get into long, serious things in text or email. Do not defend yourself. Stop defending yourself. I have a whole video on that. Don't defend yourself. Definitely check that out. The minute you start defending yourself, you're agreeing that there's an issue. Instead, stand in your power. And definitely, number 4, do not get into their games. Don't get sucked in to that emotional thing. Don't allow them to trigger you, because as soon as you do, as soon as they suck you into their games, their gaslighting, that whole thing, then they know that they have you. right? And that gives them narcissistic supply. Potentially, they use whatever your emotional reaction is against you. And then they have something to potentially use against you. And as long as they're getting narcissistic supply, they will never, ever, ever leave you alone because that's their food, their lifeblood, their oxygen. So just don't get sucked into the mud.